Some call it the Great Reset. It's a specific event designed to create a new world reserve currency. The purpose is to equalize economic tensions between nations by giving them a worldwide currency to use in settlements of debt. The problem is that what is good for the nations is not necessarily good for the people. In the course of creating this new currency, all other currencies currently in use around the world will necessarily be devalued. The US dollar, for example, will lose a minimum of 30% of its value and spending power, literally overnight. The combined value of all of your assets, including your home, will be slashed, potentially robbing you of any stability in your life. This reset can make it impossible for you to survive on your current income, and utterly destroy any hope of retirement. The question is not whether it will affect you, but only how severely it will do so. My name is Wayne Hicks. Over the last 20 years, after becoming the most successful representative of the original Liberty Dollar created by Bernard von Noothaus, and demonstrating the power of silver as a way to defeat inflation, I have worked diligently to prepare an alternative financial system that will help to preserve the wealth of the people, regardless of what nations may do. Toward that end, I have studied a great deal of information regarding financial and economic matters, particularly in how choices made at the government level affect the people who make up their citizenry. A look around the world today makes it obvious that money is a serious matter. Numerous countries that were once prosperous are now primarily populated by people who are going hungry, who are scrounging in the streets for some way to make a living. They are overrun by children, abandoned to their own devices because their parents cannot provide for them. This is the inevitable result of unsound economic policies and the insane rate at which nations try to embrace the repeatedly failed experiment of socialism. Today, as the once great United States of America is careening precariously down the broken path to communism, I see once more just how devastating these economic policies can be. Since the inauguration of Joe Biden as pretender-in-chief, the rampant spending and borrowing of his administration has done nothing but ensure that we will soon be overrun by a degree of hyperinflation such as America has never known before. Hyperinflation is defined as a period of time in which prices rise by more than 50% per month. While we have not yet reached that point, it is now inevitable that we will. This means that the money you earn will no longer be able to purchase what you need, and one of the saddest realities of world economics is that wages will never keep pace with inflation. Prices will rise faster than wages will grow, and this will mean even greater financial hardships for the people. But doesn't the government understand what it's doing to its citizens? Will the government take steps to make sure the people will be okay? If you look closely at what's happening on the national stage in America, it should quickly become obvious that the government is made up of an oligarchy that cares not one whit for the people over which it rules. Instead, the deep state seeks its own aggrandizement, its own enrichment, and the cost to the people is considered affordable and justifiable. This brings us back to the Great Reset, the complete redesign of the global financial structure, resulting in a new world reserve currency and the reduction of value of the US dollar. Now, what does this mean for you personally? Well, if you have any money invested in the stock market, or if you own a home or any other real estate, or if you have more than $5,000 in savings, you probably want to start preparing for what's coming as soon as you possibly can. The reason for this is simple. As the world starts dealing with the aftermath of the orchestrated global pandemic, those who consider themselves elites at the IMF, the World Bank, the UN, the radical environmentalist groups, and the World Economic Forum have already set in motion a plan to reset America and to bring it in line with the globalist agenda. Their objective is to control your finances and your fate, to literally take complete control over the world and bring about this new world order that we've been hearing so much about for decades. The World Economic Forum, a powerful group that claims as its members not only economists, but presidents, various national royalty, and the CEOs of hundreds of multinational corporations, met at their summit in Switzerland and issued a number of rather startling pronouncements. The most critical of those, from our point of view, however, is this one. In the near future, the average citizen will own nothing, and he will be happy about it. Yes, they said you're going to own nothing, and you will be happy about it. This means that you can be stripped of your right to even own property, to own anything. You would not own a car, would not own your house, you might not even own the clothing on your back for the way they make it sound. And they say you will be happy about it? But that is not all. To make things even worse, most citizens of the world will likely find themselves suddenly subject to taxes they never thought about before. If there's one thing we have learned about big government, it's that it loves to spend money, and it also loves to keep its people under subjection. One of the easiest ways to accomplish that is to keep control of their finances through taxation and regulation. We'll be paying taxes so the government can keep subsidizing whatever pet projects they may have, and that is only going to further reduce the spending power we have to provide for our families with. The entire goal of this agenda is to put every human being who is not part of the elitist society at the top of our populace under subjection. In essence, they want to turn us all into slaves to keep producing so that the government, which means the oligarchs themselves, continues to get richer. I know this may seem hard to believe, but just look at what's going on in Washington right now. The Democrat-controlled House of Representatives has passed bills in recent weeks that will actually fast-track the reset. Mr. Biden will undoubtedly sign these bills when they reach his desk, and it could instantly bring the 70-year reign of the US dollar to a screeching halt. It's not hard to see the signs if you know what to look for. Many of them are being published in the news every day. But with the damaged credibility of our news agencies, it's hard to know what to believe. We've gleaned a few things that do make sense, however. For instance, economist Stephen Roach told CNBC that he expects a full dollar collapse by the end of this year. Goldman Sachs has reportedly told its clients concerns around the longevity of the US dollar have emerged. And JP Morgan added, the US dollar could soon see an end to its dominance on the world stage, meaning that the time is coming very soon when a new currency will replace it as the world reserve. And, at that point, the value of the US dollar will drop by at least 30%, and that means the value of everything you own will drop just as much. Your home, your vehicle, your stocks, your retirement accounts, all of them slashed by almost a third in a matter of just moments. I don't know about you, but many people will be unable to retire if they lose a third of their savings, especially knowing that new taxes and other inflationary practices are going to steal even more value from our money. All of this is coming to pass just as many economists have been predicting for years, and the saddest truth of all is that those who do not prepare for it will be left behind in the dust. But what can you do? That seems to be the question most at the forefront of the minds of everyone who comes to be aware of this situation. Bernard von Nothaus, the monetary architect of the original Liberty Dollar, spent more than 20 years studying money, its value, what makes it work and what makes it fail, before he embarked on the journey that literally gave competition to the US dollar in its own country. Over 9 years, more than 250,000 people put 85 million Liberty Dollars into circulation. For most of that time, the government paid little attention, and it wasn't until it became obvious that many people preferred the Liberty Dollar to the US dollar that they finally began looking closely at it. By digging out an old Civil War law regarding who was permitted to make metal coins, they were able to shut down the original Liberty Dollar and threaten Bernard with life in prison. That great experiment in giving the money back to the people was beaten down, but neither Bernard nor I are willing to stay down. Since the year 2007, when the government made its case and almost got their wish for Bernard's prison sentence, both he and I have been working on the next evolution. What we needed was a way to make Liberty Dollars viable as an alternative currency that would be equal to or greater than Bitcoin, easily convertible to US dollars or other national currency when necessary, and capable of surviving economic collapse, the collapse of the banking system, and even a long-term disruption of the internet. Many economists were convinced that our task was impossible, but that did not dissuade us from continuing to work at it. In October 2018, exactly 20 years after the birth of the original Liberty Dollar, we devised the Liberty Dollar Network. Our plan was to introduce a new paper currency based on the value of an ounce of silver, which can be used at the community level to strengthen and protect the wealth of the people in that community. By creating community-level currencies, our goal was to ensure that the money and value in that community remained within it as much as possible. This would result in local businesses enjoying success over national corporate chains, and is absolutely necessary for community survival. As long as big box stores continue to take local money and send it out to their corporate headquarters, the local wealth cannot experience growth and will only stagnate and wither away. The problem we ran into was that, as much as we may dislike this truth, we live today in a global economy. Goods and services are not produced for consumption within the community, but for export to other communities and even other nations. In order to compete in a global market, the money we use must be global in nature. Today, we proudly introduce the Liberty Dollar Financial Association. This is a private membership association, which means that we are contracting with our members privately, rather than publicly through a corporation. As such, we are not liable to any government, and have the right to conduct our business dealings privately and securely. We do not have to report anything to the government, nor do we have to share information with them unless it can be proven that something about our program presents a true and grave danger to the public. Past Supreme Court rulings have made it nearly impossible for anyone to make such a claim, because the individuals who make up the membership have the natural right to contract with anyone they choose for any kind of service. LDFA, as we affectionately call it, enables its members to secure their spending power by purchasing silver that is stored for them in a secure facility. They can then trade ownership off that silver digitally through our website or Android app, using it just like cash at its US dollar value. Since silver is a commodity, its value rises right along with everything else when inflation hits, including the artificial inflation that the reset will force onto the US dollar. While the US dollar may lose 30% of its value, an ounce of silver will not. Instead, its price will simply rise, so the silver you own will also increase in value by that amount. The same works with inflation, and is the reason that an ounce of silver today will buy the same amount of gasoline, or bread, or eggs, or many other things, that it would in 1950, in 1900, even as far back as 1800. Did you know that from 1796 until approximately 1913, there was essentially no such thing as inflation? This is because the US dollar during all that time was based on the value of an ounce of silver. Today, the Liberty Dollar Financial Association offers its members the opportunity to return to the silver standard. When you join the association and purchase silver, that silver preserves your spending power. Then, when you need cash to pay bills, make purchases, etc., we simply buy the silver back at whatever the current spot price might be at that time. We can get the money to you within minutes in most cases, and always within no more than one business day. We also offer various ways to profit from being a member. Our referral system allows you to refer other people to the association and earn a share of our profits from any transactions they make. Those profits are small, but they can certainly add up in a hurry. Since you are buying the silver at only $1 over the spot price, you're getting the best deal available on silver anywhere in the world. You can deposit money to your account in several ways, including direct deposit, a credit card, PayPal, ACH from your checking account, and more. You can withdraw money in many of the same ways, but we have an additional system in place that allows you to pay bills with your Liberty Dollar Silver account. You have the option of having us print and mail a check for you to pay a bill, where you can print the check out yourself to hand deliver it or mail it. The money to fund the check is drawn from your account, just another way we can buy back your silver. You can keep track of your account very easily through the use of our website or our Android app. That app also allows merchants to accept digital Liberty Dollars through the use of the QR code that is generated for each member. To make a purchase from a merchant that accepts the currency, simply take a picture of his QR code, then enter the amount of the purchase and the OK button. The money is instantly transferred to his account, and he is notified that payment has been received. We also offer paper silver certificates, based entirely in Liberty Dollars at 25 Liberty Dollars to the ounce of silver. This means that they require an exchange rate when used to make purchases, and we keep that exchange rate published on our website and accessible in the app at all times. That makes it easy to determine how much you should pay in paper Liberty Dollars. Then there are business opportunities. We are offering a franchise opportunity that allows members to set up branch offices. This is part of our system that allows us to survive a banking collapse. It also means that we will eventually be able to work without the banking system at all. For many of us, that's a desirable outcome. If you want to protect your family's wealth, preserve your spending power, and make it possible for you to actually retire when the time comes, you need to become a member of Liberty Dollars Financial Association. This is the answer you've been looking for, whether you realize you've been looking or not. Everyone needs stability, and that's what LDFA is all about. If you're ready to learn more and get started, just click the link below. Believe me when I tell you that this is the best chance you have. After all, if the world is going to have its own new reserve currency, shouldn't we, the people, have one as well?